I'm Kerry Holman. It's January the 1st of 2023. With me today is Scott Malin, who is bringing some more generously donated items to us here, part of the U.S. DeMolin family here. Scott, remind us of your connection here to the U.S. DeMolin House.
Yes, my parents bought the DeMolin House from Ulysses S. DeMolin's widow in 1963, and we all lived here, Jean Paul and Genevieve, my dad and mom, and then along with my brother and sister, James and Barbie, we lived here from 1963 to 1973.
Wonderful, very, very wonderful. And you've got some more items to donate to the museum.
Yes, I was looking through some more boxes that I had stopped away, and I came across, this is a book entitled, can you read that? The Mythology of Ancient Britain and Ireland, that Ulysses S. DeMolin apparently read. It said, read on the way from Denver to St. Louis, August 31st, 1914, and then he signed it. So
interesting.
We know that he did that.
Cool.
And then these are some other books that were his: The Highest Possible Wage, The Destiny of Desire. And then from the DeMolin brothers, you can see there was a thing, a book of favorite songs.
It says Greenville High School, Greenville, Illinois, so must have used this at the high school. And Mr. DeMolin was a member of the band here and participated in, he had a very interest in music. And,
Yes.
We know that these are U.S. DeMolin's books because when your folks bought the house, they bought it with the contents.
Correct. Yes, they got a little, and you can see here there's a sticker from the U.S. DeMolin Company. That part's hard to read, but Lodge and other paraphernalia. So I'm not sure if he took that down with him to the manufacturing plant and sang along. And then another thing is, now I don't know, there was never any evidence that there was a ping pong table here, but he had a rule book.
Oh, interesting.
That was here. So I don't know if it was an interest or something that he played. They certainly would have had room in the sun porch, what have you, for a ping pong table. We never saw any evidence of that.
Interesting. Very good. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for those. And the other item you brought here is quite large.
Yes, I had a member, David Malin. Oop, I'm sorry, this way. David Malin, who lived in St. Louis, and he really got in the 70s, 1970s, he got into genealogy, and he made this big chart of the Malin family tree, and he then asked my father to host a reunion out at the Greenville City Park in 1977, I believe it was, and we had Malins come from all over the country and visited it. And this goes back to Stephen Malin from France, southern France and northern Italy, and his wife from Italy, and there's a Swiss connection. But then you have Jean Paul, and his wife was from France, Ledouble, but Jean Paul, who my father was named after, and then his father, Fremont John Malin, who owned the elevator down here where my dad later stayed, and Dora Lee, who was his wife, became Dora Malin, FJ and Dora Malin. And of course, then my father, Jean Paul, here, and had a sister, Ruth, and my father purchased the elevator from my grandfather, and then he worked there until about 1975 when he retired. Ruth moved with her husband, who was a dentist, a McCracken. She married a McCracken. She ended up, he went to school in Michigan, and then they moved to Birmingham, Alabama, and he wrote a textbook on dentistry that is, I understand, still used today. And then, of course, here if I can read this, I am down here, and then down here, my three children, Elizabeth, William, and Stuart. And so this stops. But the other interesting thing, in addition to, there was a lot of people here from Highland, Pinckneyville, the surrounding area, but if you keep going out, it lists a number of the families that they were related to, and one of them, lo and behold, is the DeMolin family. And my father
it's up here.
Yeah, my father always told me that we were distantly related to the DeMolins, but I was never sure how. And so this lists a number of families from this region that he tracked down that we are related to. Many of them, like the McCrackens, who still live here. Wow. So there are a number of families. But then he prepared this chart and for the big reunion in 1977, and I visited with him a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, and he had updated a little bit. But it's nice to have this to document the background and everything.
Wonderful, wonderful! What a wonderful genealogical resource for folks in this area to look back and then compare how this is displayed to what you would see on Ancestry.com.
One other thing I should point out was interesting that apparently over in southern France, northern Italy, they had trouble finding records, this gentleman did, that did this, because the Malins were French Huguenots, and France was a Catholic country, and the Huguenots were Protestant, and apparently a lot of the records were burnt, the historical records were burned in retaliation for being a French Huguenot. And so that's why I know that was a bit of a challenge when they went back to the old country to find records, because records like you might have here were destroyed because they got caught up in that religious strife.
What would have been the time period again that this was prepared?
This was prepared in the mid-70s, 1970s.
1970s,
yeah. And there are a few updates, but for the most part, that was when the major work was done. Yeah. David Malin was an architect, and so this became quite a passion of his, because obviously it's a lot of work.
Wow, amazing.
And
amazing.
He really enjoyed doing this.
Wonderful.